and about to choke.
Welcome back, Doug Badger Radio on AM 950 in a conversation with August Berkshire. And August is an atheist activist and has been since 1984 and is the president of the Minnesota Atheists. And you can find info on him. Look at that. There I am. Guac. Cute. 2011. You can find information about him over at minnesotaatheist.org and augustberkshire.org. I didn't want to do the Tea Party birther movement on you, but is that really your given name? Because that's an awesome name.
It's my chosen name.
It's your chosen name.
Yes.
I was going to say,
so
like your parents were just...
So it's available if you want to change your name to August or July or anything you want.
Yes, I would love to because I don't have that benefit. Okay, so August works with the Atheists.
What is it? Are you the Witness Protection Program? Is that what that means?
Yeah, I'm real undercover.
Yeah, he's really undercover. Yeah, so what August is doing is he's trying to change the conversation amongst atheists and with atheists and about atheism in our country, and I think it's quite helpful. Partially because I think in the 250-year history of the United States, atheism has been properly associated with the free thinker movement, which the free thinker movement from the late 1700s to the 1800s, I think was so important. And for people who don't know what that is, there were a whole number of the founding fathers and other significant leaders in the United States who got together in private clubs, secret societies, where they could talk about everything without the constraint of paying the price that religious people would inflict upon them for thinking outside the orthodoxy.
Right. Well, Jefferson never would have got elected president if people knew what he really thought about
what
religion.
He really thought, yeah. Then and now. I mean, that thing hasn't changed. Religion in this country is still deemed as a virtue, and atheism is still seen as a fear. And I think that needs to change personally, because and part of the reason that I think that is I don't think people are responsible for their beliefs. I think beliefs happen to us. I think
that's a good point. People talk about, well, I chose atheism. I really didn't.
Right.
I looked at the evidence. I decided I wanted an evidence-based view of the world, and maybe I had no choice at having that kind of a mindset of wanting to have an evidence-based worldview. But following the evidence, I saw no evidence for the supernatural, no reason to believe. So I am by definition an atheist. I can't help it.
Yeah, and I think that's so important. And I argue a lot, and I do this with the sidekick over here quite a bit, that I think that we need to get rid of the supernatural category in religion.
Yeah, there's some Christians who don't believe in the supernatural.
Because I think it's a silly word, and I don't mean that in a dismissive way. I mean that in as honest a way as I can. It's like Superman. Right? So when you talk about supernatural, what you're saying is, well, there's just this thing that happens in a way that's got nothing to do with anything we do, and it's supernatural. And I'm a Bible guy, and I read the Bible doesn't describe God's activity as supernatural. It describes God's activity as fully natural. Like everything God does inside of
I don't think that's true, though.
Of nature.
No. I mean, he violates the laws of nature to do his miracles.
Never. A miracle. Okay, yeah, and this I'll have to kick to later shows. Only pop kind of descriptions of miracle is that it defies natural order to accomplish it. No miracle is ever meant in its context to be God defies natural order. What it is God fast forwards natural order.
So in the future, we'll all be able to walk on water.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
The laws of physics will change.
Yeah, that would be.
I'd say that is supernatural. It's above nature.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when we have you on the next show, let's have a whole show on what supernatural is, because I think
so much heresy in so little time. Both of you guys, you need to get a room together.
I think that if there was we got a room for you. You think it's hot in here? Yeah. I think that sits at the root and the core of, like, if my only option was, well, you got this supernatural thing, or you have everything that makes sense to a human being, I'd be over, at the Atheist Association meetings. I just think, as a person who holds the Bible, who takes the Bible really intentionally and seriously, it didn't have categories that we now have, which we call supernatural. So it has a way of narrating a story inside of a proper way of storytelling.
Well, they just thought magic and spirits were everywhere.
Yeah, and they never would have thought of those in the terms that we have for natural and supernatural, is what I'm getting at.
Right, they wouldn't have made that category.
Right.
But as we started investigating the so-called supernatural, we found natural explanations, and supernatural explanations, like God's, were no longer necessary.
Right, because if we then assumed that the storytellers who told that story were using our categories, they would no longer be necessary. It's like how someone would say, well, you're not struck by Cupid when you fall in love. Mm-hmm. Well, no one then goes and says, there ain't no love, because we don't need that Cupid to be bringing love anymore. There's a kind of poetic nature to that Cupid story that no one's expected to believe in a little cherubim with a
crossbow.
So none of the miracles literally happened. They're all allegorical, or
no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're allegorical. Some of them are. That people think are meant to, that were described as a miracle, they weren't meant to. What I'm saying is, when one of the rare miracles happen, what people don't describe those as in the narrative as supernatural. What they describe it as is the healing that needed to come came. Not it was supernatural. It was God's engagement as a participant in the natural world is alivened.
But he had to reach in with his invisible fingers and change the molecules or change the forces of nature the way they naturally operate to create something that wouldn't naturally happen.
No, well, okay, again, as a naturalist, right, as a Christian naturalist, I say, no, that's not the narrative at all. That's not what one proclaims is happening. What one proclaims is happening is that which is naturally possible happens. So it's not supernatural. It's what some people in the theology call supranatural. S-U-P-R-A.
I love it, August. You've made Doug defend miracles. That's that's pretty amazing.
All right. So anyway, but I think this is the kind of it, because I think language is so important. Like, I think it's unfair to tell atheists that they're just people who don't believe anything, right? Because it's not true. That's not what atheists are. And I think for Christian folks, it's important that we know that you all are. This is my take on it. You're right in making the argument. If you people want to argue for meaning God violates the norms in order to accomplish God's purpose, we're now off the charts here. I would say we're outside of even the biblical storyline. We're now into some kind of fanciful Greek mythology religion, right? Which is one of the things I bang on all the time, is that Christianity is not meant to be Greek mythology. That happens in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th century, that it develops kind of a Greek Zeus mentality and so on.
Yeah. But then again, how does Jesus walk on water?
Well, okay, so no one should be. Look, I mean, we can have a full conversation about what walking on water was about, but one ought not say the Bible isn't useful because there's this one story that you don't explain in a way I like it. Like that. Right, that would be like me saying, really? You didn't find any of the evidence about what dark matter is? I mean, dark matter, right? Like, no. That's not how science works, right? It doesn't. You don't dismiss the whole thing because there's something that is.
But you got to pick and choose. You know, we don't believe any supernatural stories in any holy books, but that doesn't mean there might not be some real history or some pearls of wisdom in a holy book.
Yes. But see, and here's the thing, and we're going to have to jump into this to the next segment here and hold that natural health coach off for a minute. The thing that I think, as a social science, and this is what I want to, and I think this is an interesting conversation for us to have, and I brought up with you earlier. I think sometimes the mixture between the hard sciences, biology, chemistry, physics, and so on, and the soft sciences, or the social sciences, sociology, anthropology, theoretical physics, and so on, they operate in two different worlds. And it seems to me, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, it seems to me that many atheists want to put more emphasis on the physical sciences to make explanations that would make sense in the soft sciences.
Yeah, take that, August.
Well, I think the soft sciences are becoming harder all the time. As we understand human nature, how the brain operates, evolution, we're finding reasons for our behavior and things like that.
But isn't there a difference between the social sciences, anthropology, sociology, psychology, that don't argue for evidence in the same way that the hard sciences do? And isn't it true that sometimes we have a tendency to take hard science process and believe that that can work in the soft sciences or in the social sciences?
I think we are finding hard science that we can apply to the soft sciences. Again, how the brain works, how we evolved, what the evolutionary pressures were on us that drive our behavior.
Yeah.
So I think more and more is being explained by hard science.
See, I think that science, I mean, I'm a science guy, and I love it, and I'm into it, and I like it. I just think not all science, I think sometimes the conversation of science, some people boil down to only one discipline within sciences, and they use a singular evidentiary process that's only functional within certain hard sciences and not across the scientific endeavor. No, you look a little. Yeah, I think maybe that didn't go. Well, I think that not all. I think the word science isn't a proper phrase in the first place, right? Like science is a process. Mm-hmm. It's not a discipline. Right? So science itself, it's a method. It's not a discipline. So you don't actually have science. You have a scientific method. But that method doesn't work in all disciplines that we call the sciences. So in psychology, you don't use it the same way that you would in biology. The methodological process for social scientists is different than for what we call the hard scientists.
But in psychology, you can analyze the reactions of many people to see if there's patterns. You can look at evolution to see why we might be behaving that way, and now we can start scanning the brains to see what's going on when people.
But that's neurology. That's not psychology. Anyway, so I think this is going to be a fun conversation to kind of have over time. Is that I don't because I don't want Christians, religious people, to give up the sciences, right? I think we have to be more scientific, but in not just a narrow methodological sense, in the most broad sense that we can, where all scientific process is included. Well, okay, I think this is going to be fun.
You think that science uses evidence? I'm all for your approach.
Yeah, all right, I am too.
Awesome.
Okay, August, we'd love to have you on. That's August Berkshire. You can find him at theminnesotaatheist.org, and I hope we can continue to have good conversations here on this show and on yours about a way that we can talk about all of this in positive ways. Natural health coach Shelley Pagitt is going to be with us for an abbreviated version, because the atheists were here. I'm going to blame it on the atheists now, the reason you got cut off. So we'll be back here after the break on AM 950.